Hmm. Well, it is June 28th, 2023, and yeah, I'm still here. And the reasoning and the rationale behind this whole project or endeavor or life or experiment or whatever I want to choose to call it these days, because life necessitates different uh, definitions based on whatever's going on or whatever's not going on. And it might just sound like vague, non-specific nonsense or cryptic, just words. And their meaning and intonation and effect. Is it just for attitude and pretense, or is actual meaning behind it? Or is it just a bunch of fluff and nonsense and just ego and vanity? It's hard to say. Is there a real person out there? Or is it just pretend and for play and for posturing? Or am I just bored? Well, there's a question. What am I getting at? I don't know. But I've been searching for a while now, and for answers, and writing the best I know how, trying to interpret reality the best I know how, trying to find patterns and deciphering clues, and reading social cues, or I just might be just creating things out of nothing, and reading into things, all sorts of things that aren't there. There aren't. If there is something there, it's not for me to discover. And there might never have been. Early on, there could have been any number of possibilities, but it turned out along the way that I was not. The person it was hoped I would be, or could be, or was. I can only be myself. So I'm not doing a bad job of that. And I tried to stretch myself to possibly fit into whatever nondescript parameters that were possibly more desirable or wanted. But I didn't know exactly what the parameters were, because they just kept changing, and I guess that was, and or I just didn't know, or they weren't being communicated, or it just was not the right time, and I just wasn't the right person, and no matter how far I stretched or tried to be, it was impossible for me. It's not that it was impossible, it was just not for me, or I couldn't, or was never meant to be. And I'm talking, of course, about the person who I started recording for over 2.5 years ago. Has it been that long? I guess it has. Proof of concept. I think. Maybe. I don't remember. Where I was trying to figure out exactly, technologically speaking, how to record and upload videos to YouTube, to create an archive and a place for me to talk and communicate and have a conversation, and allow for another person to view at their own leisure or discretion. And I would never know. I wouldn't know what they paid attention to, what they didn't pay attention to, if they listened, if they didn't listen, if they looked, if they didn't look, but it would just be there, and it'd be a way for them to get to know me without ever having to actually interact with me, you know. And I don't know if it's I don't know. It was the best I could come up with at the time, based on the situation, and maybe it wasn't correct or right or wanted, but it helped me, and I felt like I was able to say what I needed to say, or say what I wanted to say, where I couldn't in any other way, or at least I didn't have permission. But here, at least anonymously, I didn't need permission, and I think I was able to, at some point, I don't know how anymore, let them know that this existed, and that if they wanted to, it was there. But there was no obligation to ever check it out. But the invitation was extended. And to this day, I don't know if they ever looked at any of it. But I kept on recording anyway. Because needs change. And for me, it started out as an attempt thrown together at the last possible minute to try to introduce myself, make an introduction. As I felt like they were already had completely lost interest in me as just another random person that took a liking to them, you know, which apparently is fairly common. But little do most people not realize is the complexity and the calamity that is underneath the surface. And maybe I just felt like I could see that better because I understand it from my own experience, and I didn't feel like I had a chance to. And maybe I never did. I don't know. Or maybe it's just two different walks of life, two different cultures, and two different histories, sentimentalities, backgrounds. But I just thought that anything's possible, and I don't know really what isn't possible. But the world seems bent on trying to teach me what isn't possible. But I still, a lot of times, refuse to accept the impossible because I shouldn't be here. I really shouldn't. So I don't defy convention or the impossible. I just am proof of it, that where there is a want or a desire or a wish or a want, there it can happen. But I can only go so far without invitation or permission or consent. Otherwise, it just feels like I'm just, it feels like I am being, harassing. And at least that's the sense that I got. And it's like, okay, back away. And maybe I was reading into it. I never know when I'm actually, it's like a hot and cold game, except it's not a game. But that's how I was like, am I being offensive? Am I not being offensive? And I can't tell. Am I saying something good? Am I not saying something good? And so it's like eventually I just decided to just kind of stop. So I was getting too stressed out, and I thought that I was stressing them out. So I took a more anonymous approach, and I got kind of lost and kind of forgot along the way. And then I just switched into, I'll just talk to myself. And I switched audiences. Instead of trying to talk to them, I just started talking to myself and telling myself stories. And, still it was the same rules applied, that I knew it was still there and being said, and if they still wanted to, check me out or look at things, they could. But it was becoming just a journal for myself, and I just kept the video titles nondescript and boring, that no search would ever turn me up. And I didn't want to be found. And just through a series of happenings, which I don't remember exactly what was going on, or life, and I guess revolved around, again, needs and events as they were happening last October. And I needed to talk, and I needed some interaction, I guess, or more than what I was getting from my life. More than I knew how to ask for. Anyway. And then I started uploading the shorts and getting some various levels of feedback or interaction. Not all of it welcome, but a lot of it was fairly decent, supportive. And it felt like somebody was listening, somebody was paying attention, people were actually watching. And I don't know about the attention. It's like, I'm not good with that. And especially when I'm trying to be authentic and natural. And I feel like if I'm aware of being observed or watched, then it affects what I feel like I'm able to say, because I no longer feel safe. I feel exposed and vulnerable and sensitive or self-conscious. So, and I've debated over, like, maybe I should go back to just recording by myself and, naming things blandly, like just the date, as far as like a journal entry kind of thing. And people would probably just fade away, and they would just stop watching. And no one watches these far anyway. Maybe just a few minutes, it seems like. Very rarely does it ever seem like anyone ever watches this deeply into a video. So it's like I get past the first, bit, and then I can say whatever I want, because no one watches anyway. So anyway, something has recently happened for the person that I originally started recording for. And I don't know what's going on. And I have no conduit, I feel, to check on them, or ask questions, or let them know I'm still there, or available. And I still can, I still have the ability, but it feels like I am not wanted. I am one of the last people that they would want to try to reach out to them and say anything. So I don't say anything. And I don't write anything. And it's like, I was kind of thinking about one of the last places where I felt like I had any lenience to write for them directly. And they personally acknowledged it. They didn't write back, but they personally acknowledged that they saw it. Whether they read it or not, I don't know. But they acknowledged it. And that was like, it felt good. But then they put something else out and I didn't. I was like, wow, I don't want to write something and then it doesn't get acknowledged. Then I feel bad for whatever I wrote not being good enough, and it didn't get seen or it didn't get acknowledged. So it's like, well, the last thing I wrote got acknowledged. So I want to kind of leave it on a high note. Because I said what I meant to say. I've always said what I meant to say. I said it when I had the chance. I said it when the thoughts were relevant and current. So if I don't say it when I mean it, then I will forget. And I lose track. And then I don't remember exactly how I came to arrive at where I'm at, or why I feel the way I feel. It just gets... I forget the journey. I just know where I'm at. And then I start to try to dissect and go back in time and retrace my steps, how I got to where I'm at, and I can't. So that's part of the reason why I'm recording. So, I'm clever. Now I can go, but I won't. Because it takes so much time, honestly. But I'd like to know that I could if I wanted to. And not that I ever will, but it is available. It's like some of the things, it's like, I wonder what I was going through back then, because I didn't know what was going to happen. Now I do. But if I go back in time to before things happened, it's like he didn't know what was coming up. That it was going to be okay. Or that it wasn't going to be okay. Didn't know. Didn't know what I was capable of doing, capable of tolerating, capable of surviving and overcoming, and not liking things, but still having to function in the presence of and while things were going on, and being present for other people that needed me to be there so they didn't feel alone, that I was fulfilling my role in because those times they weren't going to ever come again. That was it. I had that one chance in all of those instances to be there in that capacity, and that's more than what I was ever able to do in the past. I wasn't there for a long time. So now I'm able to be there. That feels good, in a way. It doesn't help much, but it helps enough to allow me to continue to struggle. And whatever success or satisfaction I derive or get out of it, I don't know. I'm mostly just, right now, just sad. And I hope that they come back. They've come back before. But I won't be surprised, and I'm getting prepared for them to disappear completely and just withdraw into, just their regular world. They'll just disappear from social media completely, and I will have lost access, and I will have lost their story completely. I will have learned a lot in the process. Lessons that I don't want to learn. And I'm scared to learn, I guess. But they're not lessons that I haven't been taught before. Just different scopes and magnitudes and severities, and I guess it's not a bad thing. The day when it stops hurting, that's gonna be a bad day. It's a good thing. If I can convince myself that it's a good thing, that it's real, that it matters. And if it didn't hurt, I tried to console myself earlier today about I can't lose anything that I never had. Yeah, it was real to me. Real enough that I started recording videos and talking to a ghost, talking to a creation, imagination. I assigned and attributed qualities and projected them onto a person. And whether or not any of it was accurate, I don't know. Some of it was, some of it is. But how much, and does it matter? That's the question. Does it matter? And of course, the compatibility was they live a completely different lifestyle. Do they? Feels like they do sometimes. They do come from a different world, and I'm just not very familiar with their lifestyle. And but I tend to think that there is always adaptation. I am very versatile and flexible in what I can adjust to. But all these questions and more seem like they will probably never need answering, because I will never be put to the test, or asked, or invited, or let in. Some things feel like they might remain a mystery forever, and I will never get to figure it out. Or maybe I'm just not capable. It's beyond my capacity or comprehension. Or just, I am just not wanted. I am uninvited. I'm allowed to witness only, but not participate, and not correspond. Because I tend to want to think, well, maybe it's the exact opposite from all that. Maybe this new happening is because I stopped trying to have, stopped attempting, and they feel, and then that's like, well, I'm just reading into things, whatever, I'm grasping at straws. And it probably just more likely has things are happening that I don't even know about. So many things. I am not informed. I'm not involved. And so I just try to read myself into it and include myself into it when it probably has nothing to do with me. And everything that I see from my outsider's view, it's that causation and correlation issue again, or I look back and it's like, well, I just put this out there and I just wrote this, and maybe it had something, and it's like, no. They have their entire other whole world, and I'm not even and who knows how much of a impact or influence or I ever had, whatever significance or relevance, or I like to give myself credit for mattering a little bit, but they have their whole retinue and enclave, coterie, words that I've looked up to try to define a group of friends. So, a retinue. I don't know. Always in the search for words. And then tonight, I was feeling a little bit lonely and talkative because I didn't get to talk today at the meeting. And I felt like I had something to say. And then the lighting out in the other room was kind of bad. And I decided to, well, I'll try to record back here like I used to. And the only reason I don't like to record back here anymore is because when I upload from this, I don't get to choose a thumbnail. I get a choice of 3 automatically selected possible thumbnails. And that's it. I don't get to choose any others. I don't get to upload one that I like. Oh, wait a second, that's not true. I can. But it's difficult or something. I forget. I'll have to look at that again. Maybe I can figure out a way around that. Possibly can. I might have just thought of it too. So, anyway. So this is kind of a throwback video to how I used to record videos. And not much has changed, actually. I'm still kind of fixated and I won't say obsessed, except I just did. But less so. It's like, yeah, it still hurts. It was only because, it only is because, you know, I'm not certain about things very often, and I felt pretty dang certain. But then doubt started creeping in as nothing continued to happen for a long time. And press any keys to continue. It just, I could only go so far what felt like by myself. And all the other people that just kept showing up and discovering. And it's like, and there just wasn't enough time. There's too many other things going on. And their attention is divided by so many campaigns and crusades and causes of all the calamities that are going on simultaneous around the world every day. Breaking news, this just happened. Breaking news, that just happened. The world is in peril. So it's hard to compete with that. I could manage if I was wanted, but without that knowledge, it's like I should just stop while I'm, well, right exactly where I am. Because my persistence and perseverance doesn't help anything. It probably just stresses them out even farther. Feeling guilty over not being able to reciprocate. You know, I'm sure they respect me, or well, maybe I don't know, but I might just have won their pity for unattached feelings. It's like, yeah, that's gotta suck. Yeah, it does. You know, but it's good to feel. I tell myself. But, so anyway, well, that's half an hour almost. So, and I'll probably never watch this. So, and I'm not going to write any notes about what's contained within this video. I'll name it something bland, and hopefully no one else will watch it. I'm guessing a few people might ever look at it, a couple, like 30 seconds to a minute of it at most. But hopefully no one actually ever watches the whole thing. I won't, and no one should. The dream upon waking.